Hello and welcome to Itinéraire Entreprise on lesfigaro.fr. Every day, a new business journey, and today we are in consultation with Pascal CLEMENT. Hello Pascal, you are the founder and CEO of PERCENTAM, where you provide training in asset management optimization. What do we mean when we talk about asset management? In the industry, it generally refers to physical assets, not resources.
Indeed, asset management encompasses all the assets available to an industrialist to generate value. Therefore, asset management optimization consists of implementing processes, methods, and concepts aimed at extracting the maximum value from the physical assets of the industrialist in question.
What type of project and sector are we talking about?
In fact, it affects all sectors of the industry. Asset management is often limited to high-level analysis and financial in nature. However, we are not talking about financial assets, but about physical industrial assets. And when we stay like that at a high level, we are in fact a little far from the floor. The idea is to get information and data that will allow us to make a proper diagnosis of our entire asset fleet, including not only productive assets, but also all ancillary assets in all the systems we need, such as buildings, roads, bridges, and dams. And at this level, we are really able to target vulnerabilities to ensure the resources.
Yes.
We're talking about resources. So asset optimization is about investing resources in the right place, especially when you want to guarantee or secure a large asset fleet.
So what's the objective? Is it performance, sustainability, or both?
I'd say the objective is really performance. In fact, the company's name PERCENTAM stands for Performance-Centered Asset Management. So it's asset management focused on performance. We're talking about an overall performance. So, overall performance that touches on all aspects of sustainable development, that is, all three aspects: the health and safety of staff, the public and people, the environment, and also the financial business. To be sustainable, you need a balance between these three elements.
So what are the levers for managing these assets to preserve them and make them last a long time?
Firstly, to get to know them well in order to know how they work. Once understanding and mastery is achieved, structures, such as inventory structures, can be established. I'm talking about inventory structures to take inventory of our assets, and going down to a level of detail that allows us not to drown in details, but to be efficient in collecting the data. Talking about data, I'm referring to information systems such as CMMS, Computerized Maintenance Management System, or enterprise software. And then there's the operating software. So we're going to make sure we have common inventory structures where we can gather information. This way, analysts, engineers, and technicians work in a common language to establish exactly what the state of the assets is and where the problems are, particularly in terms of performance. Once again, when we talk about performance, we're generally talking about health, safety, the environment, and business. From there, one can even extend the concept to look at the material in the resources. There are financial resources, human resources, and material resources. When it comes to the materials we use with our suppliers, do they respect the same values as we do? Are we really looking for a maximum value across the entire chain? So we can say that there are a lot of...
And you sometimes manage to correct a small change that then has a major impact on the entire production chain?
Yes, when you look at the assets, that's what's surprising. In most of the places where we do these analyses, I still have people in the field telling me that they didn't realize that this machine or this piece of equipment worked that way. We can be more efficient and waste less. For example, in the food sector, we can waste less packaging, plastic and packaging materials. We can optimize lubrication and consume much less energy. There's a lot that we can do, and that's just on the environmental side.
Yes.
We can also look at the health and safety aspect, identifying hazards and disasters before they happen. We can be preventive, we can be proactive, rather than reacting to a disaster or a problem.
What do you base your work on? Is there a philosophy or literature on asset management? Is it more Anglo-Saxon in origin?
Yes, you could say that, this philosophy really. It's true that there are two main philosophies on which all my work is based. This is what we call RCM, Reliability-Centered Maintenance. RCM, that is Reliability-Centered Maintenance. It was written in the 60s and published in the 70s. And then there's TPM, Total Productive Maintenance, joint work between Japan and the USA, also dating back to the 60s and 70s. So, total productive maintenance, TPM, total productive maintenance. And these are the two main philosophies, the two main strategies that you could say that I've implemented in this process, PCAM. I've called the process PCAM because it's a performance-centered asset management process. So PCAM means performance-centered asset management, but it's not about reinventing methods that already exist and are effective. It's about making them our own. Today's technology allows us to do much more than we could do 40 or 50 years ago. But the basic logic and methods remain the same. So,
yes, but it has really become essential today in a context where, with climate change, we really have to save resources and pay attention to the impact of the environment and economic activity.
Exactly. There's that, and there's also respect for all societal values, respect for society, respect for people. Nowadays, we need to find ways of developing the industry while respecting all these aspects. I think before we were already aware, it wasn't something we didn't know about, but values weren't as developed as they are today. We also weren't as affected by climate change. We have to do everything we can, even without talking about climate change, to be more efficient, to save money, to spend less, and to optimize the value we get from our assets. We have to do it.
And what results are you seeing?
In fact, the results. One of the special features of the PCAM process is that information systems are truly aligned for analysis. And to do this, one of the key elements, one of the key resources, are people. In other words, the employees, the people who work on the floor. And there's often a rift between design and analysis departments. So, for example, with engineers, reliability specialists, designers, mechanics, electrical engineers, and all these professions disconnected from the floor, technicians, maintenance technicians too, electromechanics, mechanics, electricians, who should in fact be working together with tools that unite them. And this is where these analysis grids, which I use at the heart of the process, are maintenance analysis grids, based on reliability, but which go into levels of detail that are not too deep, because we need to avoid drowning in data. One of the problems we currently face with this type of initiative is that many go into far too much detail, resulting in strategies that are far too cumbersome.
It's also related to standards. Are they standards or regulations?
It is related to standards and regulations. The entire PCAM training program is standards-based. Next, we have to make the standards our own and adapt them to our needs. Therefore, there is a risk of drowning in the data. We often talk about big data, we often talk about this data. You get the impression that you can collect as much data as you like, just put it in a black box and it will give us solutions or answers. Actually, no. What we need to do is first understand how our assets work and then examine how they malfunction. By examining malfunctions and their consequences, we can identify vulnerabilities and put strategies in place.
Was there a major challenge you had to overcome that you'd like to tell us about?
Challenges, yes. A few years ago, we set up this process by adapting our information systems and analysis. And to do this, we trained a whole group of people. I had given several trainings. It was internally in a company that was an energy producer. I trained a number of people on the floor, both technicians and maintainers. Engineers were then trained, including electricians, mechanical engineers, electromechanical engineers, and automation engineers. One of the challenges was to align everyone with the same vision, using the same vocabulary, and working on the same grids. We put the civil engineers in the same room as the electrical and mechanical engineers, working together to realize that the mechanics sometimes made checks that belonged to the civilians, and vice versa too.
Yes.
So, we realized that working together avoids redundancy. Everyone concentrates on their job, their trade, and does what they have to do in the best possible way.
Yes.
This avoids a certain amount of wasted resources because among the waste, there are also the resources you don't want to waste.
That's indeed a good example.
A great synergy. The main course had over 100 participants. So that was interesting. 3 colleagues helped me into the room to get the questions. It was quite a challenge.
Where can we find you? You're present in France and Quebec, right?
Yes, I own PERCENTAM SARL here in France, based at Lyon. There is also PERCENTAM incorporated in Quebec, Canada. Both organizations. They are accredited as training organizations here with the Qualiopi certification. And in Quebec, there's also Quebec accreditation for training organizations. This allows us to work on both sides, bringing these concepts and helping the industry rise.
So what's innovative about your method?
The PCAM method is in fact a holistic method. In other words, we have this PCAM process, which enables us to link information systems, analyses, technicians, and people on the floor, all at the same time. But this process is supported by training. There are 5 complementary training modules, each with quizzes and assessments to ensure understanding and assimilation of the material. Upon completion of these trainings, participants have the opportunity to gain the Asset Management Leader certification. This Asset Management Leader certification, for example, can be useful for an individual to verify his or her knowledge, or for a manager wishing to check his or her staff to ensure that they have assimilated the material. And once we have this certification, once we have developed the process and put things in place, the method is completed by an audit tool. The audit, which is supported by training and the tool that comes with it, it enables us to identify strengths as well as areas for improvement and to continuously improve. So the whole method and the courses, in fact, all the training courses include optimization tools, analysis tools, whether it's maintenance optimization, of course, asset management and reliability analysis. So all these elements are part of the process. So it's really a method that's holistic, complete, and I'm pretty proud of it.
Thank you very much for this vision. It was Itinéraire Entreprise. See you soon for another program.
À bientôt pour une prochaine émission.